encourage their teams to look for performance. And where it gets sticky and complicated, the GMs should be there supporting their project teams.
I can't speak for the GMs, but I can speak for the BMs. I think Matt and Anna have been side by side with us on this.
I agree with that.
And
I'm not talking about them.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think they've worked really hard on that. I think looking at the development manager, so when I started at Subi with Patrick, he found that really hard. He's a very black and white kind of guy.
Probably one of the most experienced people.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. It would have really stretched him to push into a program like this, and he and Barb got along like a house on fire. I think he did an exceptional job.
Yes.
Chris came in.
Yes.
He also took this on, and he has worked really hard on this process. MRA staff, so the Emily's, the Ren, the Annalise, all came in, and they had a huge amount of respect for Farley and Barb, and I think that worked really well. You could actually see that KKW element that came from MRA.
Yeah.
You could feel that
That's
in
on
that
one end of
project.
the continuum. Then you've got another one.
Yes.
Where
then we've got a different situation.
We've got a team that feel like it's been dropped on them. They really were a bit.
And that team is
risk.
The one that team that we're talking about, which is the Ocean Reef team. They're the ones that are the impetus for the start of this process.
They're at the outsource. They're on the outsource level over here. I'd put
they had a problem
in the middle.
This project started because they had a problem with native title, working through SWALS, not being able to actually communicate with Aboriginal people about the cultural importance and significance of the site because of that compliance element in the way SWALS worked.
I guess the question,
and you know what I just bring it back to the question? They don't own that problem. They tried to give that problem to Andre and I to go and sort out. They didn't want to own that problem.
Agreed.
They wanted to give it to the other organisation parts. I'm just saying that's the way.
So if that is the case, which obviously it varies across project
every
teams,
project is different.
We're airing all our dirty laundry. Sorry, Holly.
It's fine.
Well, that's all right. So
That's the place to do it.
Well,
what I'm interested though is, it's quite clear that each internal team has been quite different, like the external ADM teams.
So every project is different.
Exactly.
This is Development WA's challenge.
Yeah.
Every project is different.
So this is my question.
I could show you.
2 seconds, Catherine. This is my question. There is a desire for this program, the ADM program, to be rolled out in some capacity across the state, right? If we can agree on that.
Is there?
I think there is.
There? Really?
Well, in the initial aims of the project,
at replicable.
Can I just come back to so in the initial aims of the project, there is something around creating a replicable and cultural appropriate approach to apply across all projects of the state. So if we take that...
I totally get that, but I'd query at the moment, right now, whether that is our aspiration.
Okay. We can definitely acknowledge that. But if this project is to be rolled out, and you can acknowledge that internally some teams feel like it's a total imposition and
most teams
a waste of
majority,
time.
Yep. And money.
I can't confirm those, but yeah.
I don't agree with that
well,
for the record of the tape. Yeah.
What needs to happen for this to be taken on board by multiple levels of the organisation? And Greg, jump in.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, look, I think you're both right.
Black-hatted.
Fence sitter.
No, I think it's happened differently in different teams, and I think you're both right in both ways. And I see Alkimos in the middle. I see Alkimos that really, really, really tried from their point of view, but they lost their budget. So I think there's the middle. I really think from a cultural, from a Development WA cultural aspect, is exactly what you're talking about. They've got to see the value in this before this moves forward, Yeah.
So then how do you think you can achieve that?
So I think it's really important. And even if you look at our ADM coordination meetings, right, you can see who's interested. So I host a meeting once a month and just talk amongst all of our internal teams. Where's this at? How are we going? What's happening? You can see from the people who turn up who are interested. And it's consistent. It's the same group that turn up are the ones that are interested. If I was to run this pilot again, I would want the teams to nominate themselves, to actually say, I want to be part of this and get that signed off, because I think we need the right people to be matched to the right teams.
So then building on that idea, what I do is I would actually make it a contested process. So we would have a limited number of people So we would say to the entire business, we want three projects to nominate, self-nominate. There's not, and hopefully there's 6 people who want to have a crack, and there's going to be people who miss out. But you're right, the 3 that would take it they would make it go like a train.
People who are invested in wanting to see good outcomes and build relationships and understand that this is going to be a hard journey. Yeah. So people who come in with eyes open, that's what I would like for the next time.
You'd get the Ferrantis and all that would just gobble it up.
And do you think there needs to be capacity building or skills training or whatever that might be called for the development teams in negotiating this highly complex space?
Yes. Yeah, and I sort of know, I'm saying the no, opposite side of Karen. I mean, Catherine. No.
That's why we work well together. Yeah, we're a good balance.
Hear me out. The reason I say no is that the business has to make a decision about how much money and how much time and effort it wants to put into this. Because if we just say it's limitless, fine, that sets a certain way of going about it. If we said, no, we're only going to say, so supposing we said as an organisation, we're going to cap it out at $1 million, and I don't want to see any more than 150 hours of internal time dedicated to this work. That's it. That sets the field of play. Mm-hmm. So what we're dealing with here is an unspecified corporate position. So if we had have said, I'll throw the kitchen sink at this, John, you got 10 million, and you can resource up a little bit internally and externally, and you're going to make this thing absolutely fire, right? Then it probably would, because all those parameters at the top end are set, solid.
I completely agree.
And success would just follow. It would just, because we would drive so hard on it, right? And everybody who buys into that knows they're part of the big $10 million push.
Holly and I talked about this.
The issue is we just haven't, we're good at this at Development WA and historically Landcorp, is that we used to venture into things without thinking about that. So we got into contaminated sites exactly the same way. We got into it, and then 5 years later we went, we're in this. We haven't really thought about how we're doing this. And we seem to be making a few mistakes, but everything's going well over there. And this is the same here. We sort of did go in with our eyes open, but I think if we were more honest and set a budget, time budget, money budget, and project budget, as in projects, and we made that crystal clear so that we don't have a situation where we rock up saying we've got $1 million and then turn around to the teams and say you've got 100, then I think we're much better set for success, because we know right at the very front what's possible. We can explain that to the businesses outside. They can then get the view of what that looks like, because otherwise it looks limitless. And I think if we got that better defined, we give the project teams a better than even chance, and then 9 times out of 10 they'll nail it every time once that's clear.
We talked about this a bit before. I think from a project manager perspective, I think they're looking up going, they're not sure how confident the business is in this program, how far they can stretch on it. So not having that clarity makes it difficult for them to be flexible. On some of these areas that are very grey.
Once the rules of engagement and the operating parameters are clear for them, it's not prescriptive, it's operating parameters. You can go all over here. Even that was fuzzy. See? As soon as we set that up better for them, they'll nail it. So Ocean Reef team, at that end, Carl doesn't know what the ultimate is and what money he's got and how long he's got to do it. It's exactly the same with the innovation stuff. He doesn't know whether he's got a budget to do this stuff or not.
Yeah.
It's and he doesn't self-determine. So some development managers would self-determine. They'd sit there and they'd think, I'm not having this. Sitting there with all this stuff all over the place. I'll prescribe what I think is possible and I'll send it up the hill. I'll get it signed off and it'll come back down to me and I'll just deliver it. Just like that. So you don't wait to be told. You just get on with it and think, I'm going to self-determine this thing. So some DMs are driven that way, and for the ones that are, probably Subi East was like that. Patrick doesn't wait to be told.
Yeah,
Patrick
doesn't
wait to be told.
Patrick just got on with it. He said, I'm going to sort it out.
Self-determined. He says, I know broadly, I've got a feel for what we need to do, and I'm going to make that happen, and I'll work it out the way I'm going to do it. The reality is that he'll work it out the way he'll do it, and he knows it, and no one else will fully understand, but that doesn't matter because he'll get there. He put the effort into that along with Chris. The other people, Ren and all the others followed, because they could see what he was doing. But for the other two, and it's not a criticism of Damien or Simon, because they really